home buyer mistake to absolutely avoid. I hope you're ready for this story. So I had a buyer who was moving forward in the buying process. Everything was going excellent. We had our closing date. She did everything that we told her to do from beginning to the end. And it was during the time when the lender or the underwriting department can actually call and verify your employment. And this specific lender actually called the day that the buyer was purchasing the property to verify employment. Well, guess what happened? The buyer had quit her job, and the last day was the day before closing. When the lender or the underwriting department called to verify employment, the person who answered the phone said, "Oh no, we're so excited. She had her last day yesterday and we threw a big party." We were coming to the closing table, and as I sat in the waiting room to get to the closing table with the attorney, the seller, and the buyer, the seller was already there. The buyer was on her way. The lender called me to let me know that there would not be a closing. So I had to go to the closing table and explain what happened. The seller had the moving truck at the closing attorney's office. Multiple cars, and I believe that the U-Haul was actually hauling one of their vehicles. So they had completely moved out of the home that was their primary dwelling, and they were moving to another city. And the buyer, of course, had done the same. U-Haul and all of that, it wasn't at the closing office, but that's the reason why she was late, was because she actually had other people who were helping her to move out of the apartment. So we got to the closing table. By this point, the lender had already contacted the buyer. The buyer was in total disbelief, just could not believe that this was the reason why she was not going to be able to buy the house. You can't quit your job before you close, especially. Don't quit your job. The lender is lending you money. Now, this is if you have a loan. The lender is lending you money with the understanding that you have a job to support the note. So don't quit your job, and make sure the gatekeeper knows they don't tell anybody any of your business. It's not for them to say that you no longer work there, because you need to keep that job until you can do otherwise. You need to close on your loan before you make any major decisions with purchases or any other moves that are connected to the loan. Do not celebrate at work or anywhere until you have closed. And make sure the last day at your job is not the closing day or any day prior to that.
Oh my God.
I was so mad. We did not close on that house. We did not close on that property. So I, by law, could have sued her. I could have sued her because I had actually done my job and she breached the agreement. But I didn't do that, of course. I felt so sorry for her because she wasn't thinking of it in that fashion. When your lender says to you, "We will call to verify your employment," you can't not work where you said you work. You have to still work there. 100%. You still have to work there. I felt so bad. It was an awful day. It was an awful day. The seller was livid.
Yes.
And she was innocently coming to the closing table, not thinking one thing about the fact that she left her job. That's the only time that's ever happened to me, and we made a point to be sure buyers knew you cannot leave your job and think that you're gonna get a loan and you left your job prior to the closing date. It's not gonna happen. It was so bad. That's why I make checklists and I hand it to people and say, "Here's what happens next," so you'll know what happens next. Find a realtor like that. Someone is going to tell you, "Here's the next step, and after that, this is the next step, and after that, this is the next step, and after that," so that you won't miss a beat and you'll know what to anticipate. It just takes all the questions out of everything. And if you don't find that realtor, let me know and I'll make sure you have it. So if you want to know more about home buying, direct message me or check out my most recent videos.